of shrinkflation. Since inflation became a lot higher, retailers and brands have had to come up with various different strategies for getting people to continue to buy some of the products that they love. And one of the deceptions or adaptations that they've come up with is this idea of shrinkflation. So that Mars bar or Snickers bar that used to be this big is now this big, but it's still being sold for the same price. And I have to say, I am one of those lovers of a decent-sized chocolate bar. Well, at the end of a long day of conducting market research, and maybe I've missed lunch, that I love to go to the supermarket and buy myself a big bar of Snickers or a big Mars bar. And just the palpable disappointment these days when I get my $1.50, 50% off Mars bar and I open it up. And it's now, Rigas, it's now the size, it's barely bigger than a Milky Way. It is this tiny little finger, this vague memory of what a Mars bar used to be, and it barely hits the spot at all. It's more like a taste sampler, if you like. And I've noticed it in other categories as well. Things like laundry detergent. A lot of those have lost 100 mils, and like this and that. There seems to be quite a number of products on the shelves at the supermarket that have undergone this shrinkflation phenomenon, and they're selling off the memory of the past product, of what it used to be like, the memory of the satiation and abundance that they provided in the past. But they're not delivering in reality. And yet, as the consumer, rationally knowing this, I am still stumping up and buying these miserable, tiny little chocolate bars. Why is that, Rigas?
Well, you said it. You grew up with a memory of it. So you've got a what we call an emotional craving for the product, probably because you started eating Mars bars when you were very young, and they are an exceptional product. Okay, let's just get that out of the way for a second. We're not poo-pooing Mars bars. Mars bar is one of the most exceptional chocolate bars ever invented in modern history, right? I mean, its sales alone speak volumes, right? And the fact that you're still buying it is because the product itself is smaller. Yes, it's like it comes out of the favourites box now. That's true, but it's actually still a Mars bar, right, in its sort of fundamental taste profile. Now, your hankering, Nick, is emotional, right? All right. My hankering, our hankerings are emotional hankerings. So, no, it doesn't fill your gut like it used to. And your gut's probably bigger than it was. Let's not forget that. Remember all the work we did for Macca's? People would insist that, this is not saying anything out of school, Nick. People would insist that the Big Mac had shrunk.
It has shrunk,
consumers would.
It has shrunk. I'm sure it has.
According to McDonald's, it has not.
When I was a kid, I only needed to eat one. Now I need to eat 3.
According to McDonald's, it has not shrunk. But definitely the Mars bar has become shorter, and like us, and the Snickers bar as well. The Snickers bar has also, which is supposed to be the gut-filled product, not got the nuts, and of course, remember the classic ads, the Snickers classic ads. You're not yourself when you're hangry, and you become Mr. T or you become Joe Pesci in Casino or something. You know what I mean? So it's kind of brilliant ads.
That's what
brilliant, right? Brilliant, fantastic ads, really, really great insight and brilliantly executed celebrity. It all came together. Fantastic stuff.
Is there a risk here with shrinkflation, with the phenomenon?
No, because you're still buying it because you're still consuming the memory. You're consuming. Sorry, what I was getting at before is you're consuming the memory of the product. And that emotional craving can be satisfied by a smaller product. But plus, they don't want to charge you $4 for a Mars bar.
What it actually reminds me of, Rigas? Placebo effect. That it's effectively a placebo.
Yeah, kind of. And I would argue from let's call it a so-called bullshit health perspective, I would argue that you're filling your emotional craving, right? Which is the main thing that you're filling without putting as much sugar and chocolate into your body as you used to in order to do that. So it's a good thing. The advertising, the iconic advertising for the Snickers bar was promising the satiating experience, right? Satiate your hunger. And of course, it doesn't really now. And the question is that, well, okay, I mean, I grew up with a Snickers bar thinking I'm going to eat it when I'm hungry, and you bought it and you ate it and you were still hungry. So does that impede your use of the product again? Does it lower the number of times you buy it per annum? This is the big deal with these products, annual penetration, right? Does it mean that you buy it once less per annum, which doesn't sound like a lot to people, but you and I both know the public buying a product once less per annum is massive in terms of market shares. And
what it has done, just at a sensory level, and this is perhaps a little bit of a segue, but what it has done is that I've started to look for chocolate bars that have more texture and bite in them, right? So I've moved towards things like Chiquitos and, like ones that have a bit more kind of nougat and
texture,
and what that means is it feels like I'm eating more, like I'm having to chew more, I'm having to eat more, it feels harder, and
that's interesting.
I'm gravitating to something that makes me feel like I'm going to be filled up a bit more.
Filled up more, yeah. Well, look, it's an interesting conundrum because, look, the thing is they could supply you with the original sized Snickers, but it probably would end up costing you. They'd have to charge $3, $4 or something, and it's a chocolate bar. People will not pay $4 for a chocolate bar.
Here's another hypothesis, Rigas. If they relaunched the original full-size Mars bar and Snickers, how would people react? Would they suddenly flock to them, or would they go, oh my God, this is so gross and obscene now?
It would have to be called, nowadays it would have to be called a jumbo or something, right? Like a Mars jumbo or something like that. It would have to be. You couldn't say this is the original Mars and we've been ripping you off for like 20 years. They can't do that. They have to bring back the original one, right?
Yeah. I have the perfect example, Rigas, of where they have actually done this. So as a child growing up, there was always the kid at school that had the wagon wheels in their lunchbox, right? Wagon wheels, they were these really big, round biscuits with marshmallow and a bit of raspberry jam or something, or strawberry jam in the middle, and they were big, and I was so jealous of them. And then, so I've had kids, and then I thought, I'm going to get my kids wagon wheels. And you go and buy wagon wheels, and they now come in a biscuit packet, and they're only like the size of a biscuit. It's a completely different experience. The other day at Aldi, I saw it in the special buys, a big box, original wagon wheels. Wait just there.
No
I'll get you them, and I'll show you them. So this is what I picked up at Aldi in the special buys section. Okay, wagon wheel original. And when I showed these to my kids, when they discovered them, okay, what happened? My son immediately took 3 of them and went hid underneath his doona and ate all 3 of them. My daughter then discovered he did that and then ransacked them. And then my wife found them and went, oh my God, I used to get these in my lunchbox, right? So it created an enormous craving for them, enormous craving.
Aldi strikes
Not wanting to miss out, fear of missing out, especially because it's also a limited edition. They might not get this again. But look at the size of that, Rigas. Look at the size.
Yeah. It's double the size.
I'm going to eat one right now.
Double. It's big. It's big. I know they're much. Yeah, that's what it used to be. Yeah.
This is incredible. It's completely different to the small biscuit.
We've got to stop now because this is now bordering on free marketing advice. What we're about to say next, we're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but because what you've just indicated there is that this is a format issue. Wagon Wheel can do this because currently Wagon Wheels are multi-pack in the whereas they can launch these as a different. It doesn't matter that they say original because they're now selling them in a different format. So you can't compare the current. A consumer can't compare current wagon wheels to original wagon wheels because it's a completely different format. So if you sold those as singles or just like you said in a multi-pack like that, it's a different format for wagon wheels.